Welcome to First Key Congregation. If you've never tuned into this before, tune in. This is not a television. This is YouTube. If you've never watched before, we're a geek-oriented religious group. We're Christian-based. Some of us more than others. It's person-to-person sort of thing. But we also study other religions while we're at it. The idea being peace, love, and respect through understanding our neighbors. It's a good theory. I don't know how well it works. I love everybody, except for those that I hate. Anyways, Trump. Sorry. We're held at the Center of Wichita, which is 800 North Market here in Wichita, Kansas. If you've never heard of the Center of Wichita, it's the LGBT gathering center. They've got meeting rooms, all sorts of stuff. Be sure to check them out online, centerofwichita.org. And of course, be sure to check out First Geek Congregation, also firstgeekcongregation.com. Today's topic will not be sex. We've studied sex and morality and religion and all the implications of sex throughout those things for the last month. We are done with it. We are completely done with it. Well, the congregation is actually, I'll be starting a YouTube channel on sex, the facts of sex and things like that, probably in a month or two. Today, though, we're going to be talking about religion, buffet style. Now, I get to do something fun. I get to be a jerk. See, typically up here, I'm trying to find the most peaceful options. Today, we're gonna stand things up upside. By the way, I've only had 3 hours of sleep, so you have to forgive my coherence level every once in a while as I start speaking in tongues, apparently. Anyways, I'm going to be putting forth the premise that we do, well, this doesn't count in the Bible, that doesn't count in the Bible, that doesn't count in the Bible. I'm going to depend on everybody else to tell me why I'm wrong. And I deal with this quite a lot. I get into Facebook and other place conversations where, well, that doesn't apply to us. This doesn't apply to us. Well, what this really means is, and people get to be very jerks about it. It's not that we want to have a discussion. It's that we want to change the other person's opinion. That's the real truth. We don't want to discuss it with people. We don't want to have an open conversation. What we want to do is say, you're wrong, you need to do it my way. And this is all of a problem with almost all religions. Have this happen. I'm not saying everybody in every religion does it. It's that every religion has those people that do it. And they seem to be the most vocal in any of the groups. We have Marshall, for instance, who says that we should do everything Marshall's way. And for once, we'll let Marshall speak.
I don't say I should do it my way. I just assume that. And then when it doesn't happen, I just politely sit here and think you're all idiots.
See,
that's the Christian way.
This is the sort of jerk I get to be today. So we're going to start from the very beginning. We'll start from the beginning. We'll start with the first premise that the first spot where there's divide, where part of the Bible doesn't count. Nothing in the Old Testament counts anymore. Right?
Suck it. Except for Jesus.
Except for when it does. Well, wait a minute.
You have to have the context for Jesus, because he repeats a lot of stuff from the Old Testament.
Yeah, but he did away with it.
Not really.
Well, period.
Well, there was the part about not one iota being passed away until its reason is fulfilled. So if
she's going to throw things at me pretty soon, isn't she? This is not going to take long.
No, I'm not going to.
No, and keep in mind, I wasn't kidding when I said I'm going to be a jerk, because part of it is that these are the things that I encounter all the time.
You're gonna
I'm
give us
emulate
the jerk version.
I'm going to emulate these people.
So you develop a jerk emulator.
Because don't forget,
watch out, Nintendo's going to shut you down.
The jerk emulator.
They don't allow jerk boy colors emulators. No moss.
Oh, that's an old.
No moss.
I read that as DLD. I was like, what's a DLD? Oh. Sorry, man.
Well, it's my usual handwriting. Intelligible. So I mean, okay. So you say that you have to have it for context.
Yeah.
Okay, but that doesn't mean the
And
laws.
there are other things, like if you want to know what made God destroy the old world in the flood, you can go back and see what he said. Or
Fair
at least
enough.
what people say he said.
Gotcha. So, but yeah, still, the rules don't apply, right? I mean, the law has been done away with. It has
Well,
been
there are
fulfilled.
certain laws that apply to just Israel,
Okay, well,
which we aren't. We're Gentiles. You want an E.
really?
An E. It's really funny because if you misspell Israel, you've got Israel.
Yes.
What is real?
Speaking of people and things I've had to put up with over the years, there was.
Do not think I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. Matthew 5:17.
Ooh.
He didn't come to abolish all the Old Testament. He came to fulfill them. So it's not like he was coming to just scrub it.
Matthew 5:17.
Matthew 5:17. Oh my God, that's the first time Marshall has ever actually busted out of Bible words.
I believe that might be the first time I've heard it.
Wrap the world just like put on the brakes.
I said we were going to trade roles here, so apparently a little more than I thought. Kind of creeped out by this.
I forgot he was a Christian there for a second.
You're a what? Okay, anyways. So you're saying that Matthew 5:17 says that doesn't get away with it, doesn't do away with it, it's just what?
Well, you know how a contract can be either fulfilled or you can get out of it?
An escape clause?
Yeah. Well, they went with the fulfilled version.
So fulfilled means completed.
Yes.
I'm a contractor.
Yeah.
When I fulfill a contract, it is done.
Yes.
I get my check, and I have a good day when the customer actually pays. What you're saying is the difference between being completed versus upheld.
As in upheld is still pending, right?
Yes, still active.
Okay. Then
A marriage contract, for instance. When you guys,
I'm just imagining Marshall going, completed.
can I have my check now?
I'm done. Another shit to do.
A marriage contract is a continuing contract, theoretically until death do part or whatever your vows were.
And now I'm thinking of loopholes. Now I'm thinking of things like, oh, you died for a whole minute in the hospital. Bye.
Wow.
Sorry.
Now, Marshall's an electrician. The likelihood of that temporary death is actually a little higher.
I don't think he's going to make any arrangements. I can't see his smile, so I just happen to know that he's smiling.
Wow, what a start.
You guys go on to say that it's a continuing contract, so.
All right. But, okay, but like the laws of Israel, those don't
want to
apply.
get on legalese about it. Pharisee.
There's a slippery slope here. I know.
Well, the thing is, there's like, for example, people are trying to put the 10 Commandments in the Oklahoma courthouse, right?
Right.
And the 10 Commandments, Jesus specifically says, are summed up by 2 commandments, by loving God and by loving your neighbor. And he puts them on equal footing as equal valuable, you know?
And with it, love thy neighbor as thyself.
Done. Good.
On these two laws, on these 2 points, all the laws of the prophets
Hang.
hang. Yeah. I'm missing a word in there. Missing 2 words in there. But close, very close. Close enough. Okay, so
We need
So
Caitlin.
basically, the crib notes are that
We need Caitlin.
love God and love your neighbor. So when they're trying to bulldoze those commandments into a country that has a separation of church and state over the objections of their neighbors, it's really bad. It's really bad. It's like taking a book
They're
that's
not
like,
following the teachings of Jesus, and they claim to be Christians.
and they're doing it publicly. It's like no embarrassment. Like, oh yeah, they don't have any clue how ironic it is. It's like taking a book that's entitled, Don't Hit Anyone, and beating somebody with the book that says Don't Hit Anyone, big title on the front page. Yeah, it's crazy.
We have seen the Antichrist, and it is American Christians.
there's been some writings on that already.
Yeah.
There really has.
Doing the opposite of what you're commanded.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there's also debate that American Christianity as a whole is not Christianity. It is actually a separate religion that happens to have the name. Oddly enough, the most consistent across there, theologically, tends to be the Catholics, because it doesn't matter whether you're in whatever country or U.S., same rules. It's supposed to apply. However, down to the personal level, there is some belief corruption that occurs.
Well, if you're holding up capitalism, you inherently are greedy, and that's a problem. You have to, because in order to pursue wealth, which is the whole point of capitalism.
There is a good point there. I was almost going to debate with it, but I'm like, no, actually,
No,
I tend to agree with
At its core, that's the
And
the point of
capitalism,
capitalism.
Yes,
it's the point.
the idea that this person will always strive to make more money to achieve this position or this product. And in
And
the
that's such
process,
as a naturally right thing to do.
and in the process, he will spend money and he will cause
The
this
goal,
person.
the goal is not to be altruistic, to make more money, to give it away to charity, to help others.
Yes.
That might be a byproduct or something that you decide later on to do with your wealth, but
But you can live in a capitalistic society and still follow Christian law.
you sure can. But
It's possible.
you sure can, but it takes some bending.
You can also, be on a diet in like a group that is, going on a pleasure cruise. It's quite possible, but they're gonna think you're crazy.
That is the most surreal thing I've heard all day. I just walked in the door.
You're getting back to the
Yes.
Hola.
That was weird. That was weird. For those who are watching,
there's a door.
somebody walked in playing First Keep Congregation's live event. So what I hear is the door opens and my voice floating down the hall.
You're dead, Davis.
Walk
into the light. Not that one.
Very bright.
That one's buzzing. I got a side wave. That's gonna hurt.
All right.
Stay away from the sine waves.
Except I had
It's
to
not a
read.
sign.
It said the live event will occur in a few minutes, and it's like, I'm waiting. I go back and try to click on it again, and you're already halfway through. It
Odd.
doesn't automatically start playing.
Huh.
At least for me.
Not always.
I mean, obviously, I don't get a whole lot of experience with the live event, so I don't actually know all the quirks of it.
I have a feeling there's a time limit.
Really?
If you set it, if you pull it up too soon, it won't start.
Interesting. Oh, and since he's here, I forgot. Who's got best story of the best strange, dumb, religious story of the week? Because I've got a lot of great stories of the week come out of the news, but most of them are Donald Trump, and most of them are just stupid. There's nothing religious about it.
That's
So
not
I haven't heard anything generally new, except that there's another clown in the clown car running on the Republican ticket because God told him to.
Oh, that.
That makes 5 now that God told him to run?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it is like, I've said it before, but it's like at the start of a sports season, any sports season, everybody's praying to God that their team is going to win. And it must be effective because at the end of the season, at least one of them does.
What's for that?
Every single time. Praise God.
Yeah, I do find it curious that 5, because I believe that would make it 5 now,
Yeah.
that had publicly stated that
God personally told them that that he told them. No, I mean, that kind of deletes the message, don't you think?
I think they're
I think
using
only
him as a
one-
Nike swoosh.
I think they're either talking to themselves or they're just crazy.
at this point, I think they need to get together on this sort of
You
issue.
just kind of get the story straight.
Right. And basically draw straws. Because drawing lots is actually quite biblical.
Yeah.
Draw lots and get to see which one gets to say, well, God told me to run. Because you can't have 5 of them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all of them.
Imagine the debates. Imagine the debate.
No, God told me to run. No, he didn't. I've already imagined the big debates.
I just imagine drawing stick figures with boobs in a dress and hair and stuff, and like draw Lot's wife.
Oh.
I just saw.
So
I know.
July 16th, the 700 Club is reporting that a Christian believes in climate change. They had an article, news article. Well, they've been saying for the longest time, oh no, it's not climate change. It's not.
So they've actually changed their stance.
Well, one day.
One day.
I don't know if it's going to
That's
change
better.
that.
That's better than what they've been.
Yeah.
Too, but they're saying.
But
they're admitting that they've known for 30 years.
Well, there's
Yeah.
this one female doctor
No one's
that came on and had a
No trouble.
deal, and she was pushing for climate change, that it really exists.
I'd be
And
suing.
that wasn't when Pat was there. That was when his nephew or his son.
Gotcha. Because if it was Pat was a homosexual causing global warming, sure it's caused.
It's
human
the
caused
freaking
something.
it's rubbing together.
It's all homosexuals, though. That's an interesting thing, though. That's an interesting thing.
So
Is that
I'll
what that-
watch more to see if they concur with her.
So now we've basically got a huge branch of the Catholic Church and at least a small chunk of the 700 Club starting to believe in this idea. So, this is a good sign. This is a good sign. It means that we actually,
It's late.
so what?
Balls rolling. Too late.
You know, it is too late to stop what we already have. And when we do react, we have a 10-year lag before we'll feel the effects of anything we did this minute. But at least.
Because how was it for Martin Luther with the Catholic Church? It took many, many centuries. And
Well, I was afraid to just the climate.
right.
The climatology portion of it.
We're getting a little bit
We're,
faster.
we're already at a point where we've gone to the point of starting some damage because of it. And yeah, if we stop now and fix everything, we would still be another 10 years before we started to see it improve. Actually, that's going to be a problem because people are going to start improving their behavior or what have you from a corporate level, and it's not going to change, and then they're going to become frustrated. That's for a different day.
On capitalism, where I was
That's it.
at when I came in.
So, okay. So you're saying, now going back to this, because I don't know that we had a winner for best story. In fact, I've already forgotten. I really am pretty skitsy today. So you're saying these are the 2 rules that we need to follow.
Yeah, we got crib next.
So we don't have to worry about the rest.
Pretty much.
Sure.
If we can do those 2 things, then we're good.
Well, but what about seafood?
We're allowed to eat anything.
What about wearing mixed fabrics?
Obviously, we managed to do that too.
Well, just because we've managed to do it doesn't mean it's against God's law. See, now I'm having to take the other side, Dave. You messed me up here.
Sorry,
I'm
Davis Monster.
Did you call me Davis Monster?
Sorry.
Um,
Well, see, there's so many portions of the Bible that we just can conveniently ignore due to culture or new learning or more information and stuff. I mean, when is it going to stop where we can just scrub it all, That's what I'm saying.
Well, okay, let's kind of break it down a little bit then. So the laws of Israel. Are we saying like the harvest laws are also part of it? The idea that you shouldn't put two sets of seed together, or we don't want to, or we are allowed to trim our gardens all the way to the edges. I mean, what does it mean?
well,
If we
the
start
thing-
kicking that out, what?
We never quite caught on to that point.
Actually, it used to be a traditional thing. Actually, it's still a traditional thing in some areas. The idea of not trimming all the way to the edge. It still happens. It just doesn't happen here in the U.S. We also
survey says.
we also
Yeah.
don't live as a society. If we had 10 acres of wheat out in the middle of Wichita, it would make sense to do that.
But we don't
Homeless
have any
people are not going to
gleaning
travel.
rules, yeah.
So what?
We don't have any gleaning rules either.
So
So
anything you
even
do
though
is,
I actually like that part, I understand that it doesn't apply to us because we have a completely different society.
In a completely different area of the world.
Now, we should still take care of the poor.
well, what's the difference between poor and lazy? I'm going to go the Republican route here.
I'm gonna try not to react to that as my natural inclination is.
By the way, you should have seen the facial expression. Her eyes got wide.
I know what it is. I know what your favorite is.
And again, I wasn't sure if things were going to be thrown at me.
I understand that people's
difference
first reactions to that expression is,
poor and
oh,
lazy?
the doom. But the thing is we weren't told to stand around with a clipboard and grade people on they're trying hard enough.
Yeah.
We were told to feed the hungry.
We're told to judge.
We were
In fact,
told
we were told
to
not
do
to
it.
judge.
Okay. Sure, you say that, but
What did Franklin Graham say a couple of days ago?
I don't listen to it.
yeah. Don't ask me, because you know the likelihood of me listening to Franklin Graham.
And besides, that's a slippery slope anyway in my eyes, because once you start judging and you start, especially in this particular society, you start noticing the savings that you have, from being able to judge and exclude people, and all of a sudden your criteria just start to broaden and expand, and you exclude more and more and more, and then all of a sudden you've got a reason not to have these programs in the first place. Because, why should you exclude services people who really need it just for the sake of maybe maybe not helping those quote lazy bastards who are sponging on the system, who really, statistically aren't that really that big of a part of what's going on. Sorry, my brain just died. The brain train just derailed.
I thought I heard some squealing.
Yeah, there was some squealing there. Yes, it's like the fraudulent people don't really make up that big, portion of the system. So why are you going to hurt everyone else?
And how's this? I mean, our system literally guarantees that somebody's not going to have enough money. That's why they allow bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Because
That's how it
for
works.
every, $9 that exists as debt, there's like $1 in the physical world.
We are.
So it's like musical chairs. Somebody's not going to have a chair at the end.
Well, and
And that doesn't have a damn thing to do about how lazy they are. They're moving around, same as everyone else.
by the way, I need a set of horns for doing this next time. That way I can take my horns off and do analysis for a moment.
Okay, sorry.
Because I joked about lazy.
Yeah.
Well, and that's actually a view of homeless and lower class right now.
I think anybody that thinks that's a lazy group needs to go live that way for, I don't know, a year and then come back and say so.
I won't disagree with you. It's a lack of there's a lack of humbleness there to start with.
And lack of knowledge.
People up here, we're gonna say it right in here.
Lack of knowledge and experience.
So I know some people in this area who view these folks as being lazy, but it gets better. I know some people in this area who think the rest of everybody but them, who's on unemployment, who's on welfare, or what have you, are also lazy, or druggies, or any number of things. They are all bad people, except for us. It's the sort of opinion they have. And the interesting
Guess what? Everybody holds that opinion.
I don't.
No, I'm sorry. No, I wasn't saying everybody holds that opinion. What I meant to say was when you sit here thinking everybody is a lazy bastard except for me, everybody thinks that everyone is a lazy bastard except for me. So guess what? Everybody thinks that they're not lazy. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying that everybody thinks that everybody else is a lazy bastard. I wasn't saying that. I was just thinking that I was saying that everybody thinks that they're a hard worker. Everybody. So I mean, when you're sitting around calling, I mean, not you, but when someone else is sitting around calling, especially the upper, the middle, lower, whatever, when everyone is sitting around calling everybody else lazy, they're calling people who genuinely believe they're working hard,
Yeah.
whether they are or not.
And here's my debate with that,
Lazy.
too, by the way. Let's say we just accept this, the idea that lazy people are just homeless and we need to quit giving them handouts. Let's just say that.
Okay,
Let's say we did that. Trust me, that's a big leap for me.
That's a huge leap for me.
Yes.
Pretty soon, the next thing would be that the lower class, those that are below a living minimum wage,
They're now.
we start looking at them the same way.
It's
We start
slow.
saying, well, the problem is they really just need to get better jobs. They're just not motivated.
Gee,
Oh,
I've
wait.
heard that before.
That being said,
Oh yeah, they're just not educated. They need to go to school, get better
Yeah.
training, get
Which-
better jobs.
Oh,
They
and
need to
then
work
the
harder.
people that are
They need
educated,
to work harder,
oh,
work
you went
more
for a
hours.
worthless degree. Oh, yeah, exactly.
that
There's
means
not yet that much for all the time.
pretty soon we'll be attacking the next group up.
Yeah, it's been happening.
And we'll continue to do this. By the way, we'll do this until we reach a certain point. There is a tipping point.
Oh, there's a tipping point.
You
Once you
mean
hit
the goal?
about 70, when you hit about 70% of people being labeled as lazy, and et cetera,
People start questioning it then?
it takes a hell of a lot. It takes a lot. Because we've actually seen it happen in history the whole time.
I personally believe that true lazy people are up on the top of that.
Yeah, up there.
I won't agree with it.
No,
Now,
there are hard workers up there too. There are people who actually got there and everything. But when you have a lot of money, you have a lot of abilities and a lot of means, you do not have to work hard. You don't know what true work actually is. You just have to sit there and move things around on your desk. They would not be able to actually work if they had to. And I'm saying that.
I don't know that I agree with that.
Now, there are people there are always exceptions to the rules. But if you go to the upper class, and I'm just going to say this as a blanket statement, but with a caveat as exceptions, there are exceptions, but just as a general blanket statement, I'll make that. If you go to the upper class, you're going to be hard pressed to find people who would actually, who wouldn't be able to actually put in an actual day of hard work. They can't actually do it.
There's a breaking point, but I'm sure that exists. But most of the times I've ran into Kansas millionaires, they are hard workers, and I mean they still do it. For instance, there's a guy who owns a whole lot of apartment complexes here in town. Actually, there's a number of guys that are like this. There are multimillionaires here in Wichita because of property holdings. The first time I met one of them is in a T-shirt, stained. You know why? Because they look at one of his property trying to fix a sink before the plumber got there. There are people in each one of these classes that are lazy, and there are people in each one of these classes that truly are motivated. And then there's the middle ground. Those that are not driven by the need to succeed, but neither are they so lazy that they don't want to provide for their family or anything. I think there's a middle ground here. I don't necessarily think the blanket statements on either side are necessarily right. Now, I do have blanket statements of responsibility. If you're up here, you have a responsibility. If you're not fulfilling that responsibility to the rest of the area, I have huge problems with that. But now, to generalize and say, oh, these guys couldn't work a hard day's living, I've heard that debate before, and the ones I've met sure could. I don't know if I could say the same about. I've met at least 10. I can count, but I can count more than I've had on both hands. I think about it. Yeah, no, I've met quite a few actually, because of the type of projects I deal with, and they don't just send somebody out to do their project. They're there, they're involved. They want to know what the processes are. They're looking at blueprints. They're looking at okay, so what are you going to do about this? They're working with it. So I don't know. I have a hard time agreeing with that perspective on it. But it's an interesting phenomenon because it is exactly, you're describing exactly the opposite of what some of those people at the top view these people down here as. They view these people down here as lazy because obviously they haven't succeeded in anything. The way you're saying it, these people up here are lazy because they've succeeded. They don't have to work anymore. It's kind of a twist of views there. It's kind of interesting. I'm not saying you're down here. I'm going to guess you're probably closer to middle class. Your electrician can probably make relatively decent cash. All right. So I think it's. I don't think it's quite so easy.
He has noticed that when he's worked in lower paying jobs, he's had to do more work. And that as he goes up the ladder, he has to do more thinking and less actual physical work.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about is the definition of work.
Hang on.
Our definition of work is different.
You're talking about physical labor.
I'm talking about
work, because I know guys, and I am one of them. Because keep in mind, I've been beyond the middle class range and just below the upper middle class for a little bit. I worked 12, 13 hours a day, doing networks, doing programming, etc., etc. I worked, but it did not mean I did physical labor. I don't define work as physical labor. I define physical labor as physical labor. I define management as management, et cetera, et cetera. These are all a set of work. So I do see a difference of why you and I have a difference of opinion on the definition of work. And if we apply yours, you're right. The guys at the top, yeah, they don't do work most of the time. Not like that. They don't go out and do physical labor. somebody else's
So
bus.
if you're gonna sit around calling other people lazy, then go ahead and dig that damn trench, you know?
Oh, I agree with that entirely. Don't get me wrong, I agree with that entirely.
That's where that's what gets me bristling is when they call people in the lower class lazy, because the lower class is the one doing all the physical lifting. They're the ones making the upper class their money.
I agree with you on that. I absolutely agree with you because
The upper class wouldn't be able to get down in the trenches and make their money for them.
No,
couldn't do it.
You wouldn't have Trump digging a hole. Wouldn't happen now. It's not going to happen.
No, I don't disagree with you. I don't the management, the thinking, and everything. That's a lot of work too.
There's an old story.
That's a lot of work too. But it's different.
There's an old story about it. Guy gets promoted, works at a tire company. He gets promoted from being a line laborer to part of management. He's now a supervisor. And after he'd been there for a couple of months doing it, somebody asked him how he felt about it. He says, you know, it's interesting. When I got done with the day, I went home and I had a beer. Now, when I go home, I take part of my paperwork with me. And I still have to stay up on things. I've never once had one of those tires from the line follow me home. Says, but on the other hand, I busted my ass every day at it. Says, now I don't feel so tired physically, but I'm working more hours. So there's a huge set of disconnects on how we think of all that. Because I mean, I've done part of what you're doing. I've done electrical because my father was an electrician. That is a bust your ass job. It really is. Until you're a site supervisor, you're spending most of your time sitting there looking at the drawings and telling, okay, did you guys get that? Did you get the conduit running for that done? It changes the game. So there's a lot to be said there, and unfortunately, we can keep going on that one. Probably another hour.
I was just noticing.
And what's the?
And I don't think there's
just don't use the word lazy.
So what?
Yeah.
Just
Don't use the word lazy.
Fair enough.
There will be hours of discussion if you use the word lazy.
I don't though. This is the important thing to understand. Having done those sorts of things, actually the whole scale there when it comes to what type of work,
Yeah.
management, all the way down to grunt, and there are days when I get a phone call from the plumber. It says, hey, hand. We're gonna move this. I need to move cast iron bathtub out and replace it. Want to give me a hand? Yeah, sure. Or hey, we're gonna trench this. Would you give me a hand? I still go do that. So I do understand. There's not a single bit of that's lazy. It's just different type of work. It's different sort of activity. So, anyways, I do not believe it to be lazy.
There's that one part where Jesus says that we're like children in the marketplace calling to each other, you know, that we're not like dancing on time or, you know, basically one child is like calling to the other that, you know, I played wedding songs, but you didn't dance, and I played mourning songs, but you didn't mourn or whatever. Basically, I'm pretty sure that there used to be kids in the marketplace all the time, and that was a normal thing, and that people of Jesus' day would relate to that. But I mean, it's like children making fun of each other for not playing the right game at the right time.
Right. Since nobody does what I do, everybody else obviously is not as important as me, or doesn't work as hard as me, or doesn't. People don't a lot of times don't address. No, people work differently than you. There's a difference. So, yeah, I have a problem with that phrase "lazy" too, but it's been thrown around in politics so frequently over the last 6-8 years.
This is why it's a doom-worthy offense. It's like, like, I have to hear this one more time.
Again, I don't view it that way. Anyways, there was a point.
Well, I mean, they've been trying to cut people's food stamps and everything, and they've been, trying to tell people they can't have like seafood, which the cheapest thing you can freaking get in meat sources is like canned tuna, and that's seafood, so it's off the list certain places. Just things like that. we're not on these assistance programs, but for the people who are, that's bullshit, man. That's, you know, that's crazy.
Well, I agree. Well, we want to be clear. Again, because those people are, I'm not going to say lazy, they have to answer for what they're doing with their money. That
How
we
dare
give
they
them.
need to eat?
Why should they get to eat steak? Okay.
Sometimes it's on sale. I'm sorry.
No. Exceedingly valid point, because what I used to do, and I still do it, I'm cheap. I really am. And I don't know when I developed being cheap, but I've gotten worse over the years. I go to Dillon's, and they always have these manager special sections. And when I find myself some nice steaks that are the same cost as that block O roast, hell yes, I grab all of them, fill up my freezer, or at least grab the 3 or 4 or whatever there is there. And I still do it that way. I really do. I don't understand why I can do that when somebody else who's on assistance could not. That does not make sense. They were making wise choices. And even if they're not making wise choices, should I get to decide that? I don't think so.
Do I get to select which military programs we donate to because it's my tax money?
Well, it's funny you say that, because I'm not very much a Coast Guard fan, so I think next time
I think they need
to-
1,000 miles that way is 1,000 miles that way.
I think they need to answer for what section they're actually patrolling. They need to answer to me for that.
I'm telling you.
I think the allocation of welfare and the charity that I threw quotes for the people who can't see me, and charity we give to folks. I think that's political moves. I think that when they're quantifying like SNAP benefits and stuff and excluding things, I think that they're doing that to play to their base for re-election. They're all like, well, hell no, we're not going to allow welfare recipients to use their welfare money to go on cruises. All the money we give them will buy them a cruise someday, so we're going to say no.
Because that's so
They say
often-
bullshit like that, and it gets their base riled up.
By
So
the
they say, yeah,
By the
and
same
then you're not
token,
going to get
they're not allowed to
steaks
buy
or
any uniforms.
beans or
or
tuna or
dragons.
potatoes. There are places that say no beans, no potatoes, no
Wait, what?
pickles, no.
Why can't you buy beans?
I have no
Because
idea.
people are retarded.
Because beans are high protein.
Yeah, no,
I
I have
They're
no
actually a
idea.
survival.
I have no
They're
idea.
cheap, they're
Pickle-
high protein, they take a big
Wasn't
work.
there someone
Somebody
trying
actually
to
did that.
do a bill on
I don't know if it was actually done, but
beans
yes.
for stockpiling? Because they didn't want,
No, they're
Everyone is
excluding. It's like I believe it was in Indiana. I'd have to look it up. There was another state where there was one guy who was actually trying to introduce all these things that were to exclude from the nutrition benefit, like all sorts of processed foods and beans and potatoes and pickles were in there and on the list for some crazy ass reason. He wasn't going to allow them to have those.
I think it was stockpiling
Oh,
and something like that, if
oh,
the apocalypse happened or something like that.
whatever.
We don't want them to survive after the
I just-
apocalypse. Well, they might be living
Or
it.
whatever.
Right.
What exactly is that apocalypse? Oh, that's right, September this year.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten. I had forgotten to see the Armageddon forecast. It was September that I
Once
remember.
again, I think it's a political move. I think they're just playing up to their conservative bases so that for re-election purposes. Sure, let's say no cruises or movie theaters or swimming or pop or anything like that, because it sounds great. It sounds like I'm tough on poor people.
It sounds like such a wonderful thing. I'm tough on poor people. It's like saying tough on crime.
Mm-hmm. But you're tough on poor people.
Wonderful thing to say.
And the thing is they believe that they have a large enough base of constituents that want to hear that sort of thing, so they say it,
Well, and here's the problem. Apparently they do.
which is insane and scary.
Yes.
Because poor people don't vote. No, actually, they can't. If you think about it, they can't. They're working so many hours,
And they don't have a vehicle to get
multiple
there.
houses, they don't have a vehicle. They can't take off of work. They don't have child care, so they don't. They can't vote. They can't get out, and they don't either. They don't know, or they can't don't, or for some reason they don't understand that they can have a absentee ballot mailed to them. You know,
There's actually Bernie Sanders was one of them that has brought up the national voting holiday concept. It's been brought up before. And I saw somebody post about this, and he has said, I've never had a problem getting out to vote. He's mid-50s, white guy. Always had a car. I mean, he's worked some junk jobs before, but I don't see him as ever having been disadvantaged. So when I heard it, I decided I was going to walk away from this discussion because no, he's not poor. He's not poor. So the idea being by taking it and making it a vacation day, it gives everybody the opportunity. Everybody.
You know where I live? They moved my voting place to the KU Med Center.
Well, they did that intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually an intentional maneuver.
And it's
That's
like,
the thing.
I didn't vote during those times.
But you could have gotten an absentee ballot. Don't forget that.
I always vote in the presidential elections, or I always have voted during elections with absentee ballots. Once I figured out that that was a thing, because it was inconvenient, and there were some times when I was younger that I couldn't get off of work, or I didn't have reliable transportation, and so I just had absentee ballots mailed. Now I live in an area where my polling place is literally right around the corner within walking distance. Yay, hooray, it's convenient and totally doable and everything, and how lucky for me, but I'm still going to do absentee ballot.
Yeah.
Because it's a physical paper thing that people can't, get rid of unless they, shit can.
Well, and there has been tales of boxes of absentee ballots not getting counted,
Yeah.
possibly just being left there, might have gone. We don't know what happened. It has happened. So there's still a lot of logistical advantage to doing that. I mean, there really is. But people have to know it's available.
Yeah.
It's not exactly like something that's campaigned ahead of time. Oh, get your absentee ballot. Get your mail-in ballot.
I don't know. I think everybody should just have an absentee ballot just mailed to them in the mail. I mean, they're already mailing flyers to their houses everywhere. You would think that if somebody actually wanted somebody's vote, they think that if, let's just say, for just the sake of argument, Brownback actually wanted their vote, they'd just go ahead and just mail an absentee ballot along with their propaganda flyer and say, here, vote for me.
I think there's a law against that, actually.
Really? Why?
I believe so, because
You wouldn't,
So-
you wouldn't check the boxes or anything.
similar to the law that you cannot campaign on voting area
And-
grounds.
So many feet.
Yeah.
Oh,
500
I
feet.
understand. I understand that.
So I do
That
believe
separation.
that
would be
there'd be a law against that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm going to win the next one. I'm going to send out 100,000 absentee ballots with my business card on it. Vote for me. I'll win the next one easy.
Here's the power of suggestion.
See, and that falls under the category of making it too easy for people to vote, because nobody wants that. Nobody wants everyone to vote, right?
Davis for emperor.
No.
Davis for
Can't
Pope of
use
America.
Davis. Because it could be Paul Davis. That guy has ruined it for
Davis Sickman for Pope of America.
me. Anyways, Pope of America. Anyways,
Sorry, I got you off topic.
back on topic. What was our topic again? Oh yes, religion, buffet style.
Sorry.
Alrighty, fine. Okay, I'll give you that love thy neighbor stuff. All that mushy stuff we should take care of people. That's
It's come up multiple times.
fine. So you say.
Check all the
You should
gospels.
see what they said about homosexuals.
Love that.
Anyways.
It's because
Love that.
Jesus is the Word of God and was
See, the
God.
thing is,
You can have this and throw it anytime.
See, the thing is, if you're loving thy neighbor as you're loving thyself, that goes ahead and just encompasses everything else, and you're pretty much just automatically following every other rule.
Not trying to steal from them, not trying to.
You're not doing anything else. You're not killing them. You're not stealing from them. See, it's,
Yeah,
you might be
literally
coveting their
a
wife
fact-
if you're loving their wife as you're loving themselves, but that's right. Sorry.
What? You started to ramble there.
I didn't. I said nothing.
You can love your neighbor,
It's
but don't
literally given
love your neighbor.
elsewhere as a summary of how to follow all the laws. It literally does say things like,
It's like
if
a
you
little,
do this, you're fulfilling the law because you don't murder people and blah, blah,
it's
blah.
like a little
It literally
train
says
track.
things
It's
like
love and every train track. If you're loving their neighbor, you're already doing the other stuff. It makes it easy.
And then you go into a topic.
What about homosexuality? Love thy neighbor.
Right. Which
What about adulterers? Love thy neighbor.
No.
What about that guy over there? Love thy neighbor.
No. That whole homosexual.
Do it.
That whole homosexual thing.
it.
Whole homosexual thing. No. I can't love homosexuals because love thy God. And God's laws say that homosexual is an abomination.
God's gonna judge them. It's not your job to judge them. Love thy neighbor.
Yeah,
He told you to love thy neighbor. He didn't tell you.
Yeah,
judge.
that's the biggest problem I have with trying to.
He didn't
say-
tell you to round him up and kill him.
That's
He didn't
I
tell
mean-
you to do a damn thing about it.
Well, what about those girls who aren't virgins? They get married.
you
Shouldn't we?
Love thy
There's
neighbor.
stone laws about that. That's part of God's laws.
Love thy neighbor.
pretty
We
sure
don't really do
Jesus
that
addressed
anymore.
that.
Because we have our own laws that man set forth, and we're supposed to follow those too. He told us to do that as well.
Thanks, Obama.
And then love thy neighbor.
that's what I hear.
Respect where respect's due, man.
All right. Fair enough. Okay, sure. So,
Where's the slippery slope going next?
slippery slope, right? Freight train to hell. Anyways, so, well, okay, okay. Well, what about that whole thing of love the sinner, hate the sin?
That's not in the Bible.
What? Of course it is.
No, it isn't.
It's been quoted so many times
Point
Well,
it out.
from
Well,
nowhere but the
here-
Bible.
Here's one thing. Okay, Romans 12,
So
13 through 21. It does say hate the sin, but it doesn't say.
love the sinner. And it is where that bastardization of that came from. You're
Yeah,
right.
and then it's that don't repay evil for evil, but overcome evil with good.
Yeah.
And that kind of gives the whole meaning kind of awkward because it should be kindness instead of good. Overcome evil with kindness.
Well,
Because
actually,
that's what the other references say, but that one they translated into good.
yes, because there's a thing with that, and kindness, charity, love, and good get kind of peppered a little bit as this one gets this way, this one gets translated that way. There's some things there, and their context is what has been used off of in more recent translations like NAT. They spent a lot of time with the beating out the context of it, which is part of the reason why I like NAT so much. I do not believe it to be
The one.
no, there isn't a V1. It was written in that language, and until we all know that language, in that context,
We're just reading.
it's not going to work for it. I'm not going to talk about that now. Which brings point, because we're discussing what laws we have to follow in the Bible, which ones we don't. But we also seem to have these extra biblical laws appear out of thin air.
That's a nice way of putting
And, and become, look, you spit that, you're cleaning it up.
Sorry.
we get these extra biblical laws that appear. Now, by the way, there's a phrase that's used, this word, this term, because I hear it used two different ways.
Now I need a drink to get it out of there.
Sorry, man.
I can't like put enough stresses and emphasis on this one. Legalism. The reason why this term is a thing for me, because the way I've heard legalism described to me by a number of different places is that legalism is referring to all those extra biblical laws.
Yeah, about how the church interprets it in the different denominations.
Right.
That's what legalism is. And
Or rules that
Yeah.
are not even, they don't even have anything to do
Yeah.
strictly with strict biblical laws.
Mhm.
They are just, somebody thought this was a good idea at one time. It became a thing. Now it's a tradition. Now it's a law. As part of that particular denomination's dealings.
Mhm. It's not about upholding the law of God. Completely.
This is the interesting thing, is I hear legalism referred to as that way, but I've also heard it referred to the other way, which is the idea that legalism following, for instance, the laws concerning kosher, the laws concerning clean eating, the laws concerning how to properly dress. These are legal, even though they're biblical. Some say that when Jesus referring to legalism, he was referring to that along with the extra biblical laws that were happening with the Pharisees and Sadducees. It gets interesting because there's an implication there. If it's just legalism, as in the extra laws and traditions that have been piled upon the Bible, on top of it, on top of what was already there, or if legalism is actually along with it, concern yourself with following law more than love, it makes a big difference. It makes a
So
big
if you're
difference.
being a rules lawyer for the religion,
Yes. And let's face it, every group, we don't have one here. Every group has a rules lawyer in it. We've all been gamers before. We've all met rules lawyers. And we know how to drag a situation down. This becomes a question in Christianity. Are rules lawyers a bad thing? I say yes. I mean, I still, taking off my devil ears for a moment, I still go with the love thy neighbor and love thy God as being, everything stems from this, and as long as you follow these two, you should automatically be following the rest of them. And you know what? If you wear cotton with linens or cotton with polyester because you have no sense of style, that is a legalism problem. Because if you're taking care of the people around you, if you're taking care of the people around you while you're wearing your polyester and cotton, you're still probably doing it right. Those that call you out on your polyester and linen versus the fact that versus stopping to help, I swear it's a picture of polyester and linen. Bad Marshall.
thank you.
Polyester and linen, what? So you were saying?
So if I'm done. Yep. Thoughts.
Okay.
Well, that's the objectives that a lot of times they have with Jesus. They had to get him for trying to heal on the Sabbath and things like that. It was always something is like
They couldn't get him on anything real, so they tried to get him on technicalities. Like
And
Obama.
to which, thanks, Obama. To which he always had an answer. I mean, he really did. Even if it ranged down to, it's always good to do good, as a sum up. So, yeah, some people will concentrate so much on those little things.
Here's the fun part. that I've been reading a lot. James 2:12 and 13 speak and act as those who are going to be judged by the law that gives freedom, because judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Mercy triumphs over judgment.
That's a good one. Good choice. Would you throw that at me real quick? Or do I need to make you mad first?
I honestly didn't think you would make it.
It's so light.
Yeah.
It's not a really good projectile weapon. So, all right.
That took a while. We was off that for a while.
Oh, yeah.
I had to find my source.
I didn't look close. Hang on.
Hey,
You did, didn't you? You actually got my face on it.
I had to find the source. Hey, I've had that overlay cut out for a long time. I put many faces into that. Ted Cruz mainly.
Gotcha. Great, I'm in company with Ted Cruz. Thanks,
If that's the
Marshall.
closest you ever get, you're doing good.
That's true. All right, fine. So, so I understand. But,
There was a mine at AFW.
so what?
There was a mine at AFW.
Evil bastards.
I'm just thinking of the
That makes so much
the orbs.
Anyways, okay. So let's say.
No.
No goodness.
So, yeah, but it's still just two laws. I mean, you say everything comes from that, but there's got to be some exceptions. There has to be.
Well, Jesus also gave a new commandment when he was on his way out to his followers to love each other as he has loved them, as a sign to the world that they're actually following him. So if you want another commandment, there's a third one.
I don't like it.
It's about love.
All right. Obvious.
Sorry.
Obviously, I'm not getting through.
You have heard it said, tooth for tooth, an eye for an eye. But I tell you,
Stop.
you're not reasonable, man.
No.
So
No. Eye for an eye. Eye for an eye. How many times have we heard that?
A lot.
Seriously, where it's just taken eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. Now, there was a point behind that, and it's go back to the Old Testament. There was a point that was made behind it. It was about responsibility. Your actions come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hang on. So your actions come back to you. And additionally, it was also a responsibility because keep in mind that also applied to other things like injury law.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's donkey fell down a well because you had not properly done anything to secure the well from that occurring, you were responsible. Additionally, you were responsible for damages to your neighbor if your neighbor happened to fall down the well. Those were responsibility items. Yes, it gets used out of context as justification for everything from
DUI, car,
no, it's not what
Well, I have this uncle that's real because he was hit.
Murderers being put to death.
a lot of people have their thing that they focus on because they've been damaged in one way or another by society, by other people. And sometimes we just have to. Okay, I gotta remember where this guy's coming from.
If I don't stand up for this, then anarchy will rule.
Yes, because we become single issue people a lot of times when it comes to stuff like that. We've been wronged in this way, so this is the most important way that everybody else should not be wrong now. It doesn't matter everything else. No, this is the most important one. And that happens. And there are many times I do not blame people over this, because I look at their situation, I'm like, okay, I can understand why this is your major focus. I cannot accept that as being the most important thing in the world to me, thanks, but I understand where you're coming from. And it's hard sometimes to kind of forgive those people for being that focused. But it's nice. But I have before you stop me. Okay.
You're going to give us context for eye for an eye, tooth for
Right.
tooth.
So you're saying if we look at these in context, maybe they're not the way that they were usually portrayed by some ultra conservatives.
You're saying?
Maybe. I mean,
And this is when he has his horns on or off.
seriously, I just need a big red set of horns.
You know the sarcasm.
And a Pope hat apparently, so I can swap it out.
It's a sigil. That's
Oh.
nice. Zing.
Wow. Yeah, thought was gone. I'm not kidding about having been very tired.
There's a sleep, really.
Yeah. All right. So, what about some of the others that get thrown out like that then? That are essentially in contrast to these two rules. To make sure those two rules are still up there. I wiped things off the board a couple of times, not tracking real well, so I'm not sure which ones were up there. What are the ones we hear used that are in contrary to those rules? Well, like I said, eye for eye to me is actually misused because it's just a chunk. And we can go for a number of things. Oh, hey, since we're talking about the laws. One man, one woman. That's marriage, right?
Well, it depends on where.
Well, that's a problem. See, Old Testament or whatever, right?
Well, if Old Testament doesn't apply anymore, then you don't need to have marriage insurance with your brother. Sorry, with your husband's brother. But the thing is if you're going to say it's been that way forever, and you're going to use the Bible, Cain's grandson's the first one that's listed with 2 wives.
Pretty interesting.
David had how many? David, the one that was said to have like the heart of God or something like that.
Man after my own heart.
Yes, that
So
one.
you're supposed to marry your rapist. There you go. So that's another biblical marriage.
Yes.
So do we want to keep listing biblical marriages?
Well, but it's one man, one woman. That's the important part.
And also
And you weren't
see my original statement about when are we going to stop just ignoring pieces of the Bible that aren't applicable to our society anymore.
So,
Love thy neighbor.
Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
Love thy neighbor.
Let's see, what did God say? He said it wasn't good for man to be alone, and that he would make somebody in his likeness. What's to say that the next person he made wasn't necessarily a woman that meet those same criteria? I mean, that was the first thing. I mean, if those are the criteria, he saw fit to make left-handed people.
You got a problem with left-handed people?
No, I'm just pointing out that people used to kill them because they thought they were in league with the devil.
That's the same problem I do, apparently. Huh?
And then like until Satan said it, I mean Hitler said it was.
So,
I escalated quickly.
the thing is,
Hitler said, "It is my duty as a Christian to rid the earth of the Jews." Most denominations were anti-Semitic. I know what your view is on anti-Semitic, and I know what my view is, but that's what they claim.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it
Don't
was
go
up
full
in,
Martin.
because they were reading John 19:4 or something around there about that that the Jews are the sons and daughters of Satan, and everyone would pick on them and rouse them and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Plus the whole having killed Jesus. That's the view of a lot of groups was they had killed Jesus.
but yeah, up until the 30s when Hitler said it, we were all like him.
Well, and there's it's been an alcohol fluctuation actually.
Yeah.
To use that generalization would be wrong,
Right.
particularly because there was Christian sects all the way down into Africa. There was a whole lot of brushing up of cultures between each other. You got to remember, I'm not going to say that everyone lived in harmony,
Right.
but they tolerated each other to a certain degree.
But yeah,
The
it's just that mainstream America,
Yes.
we were not friendly to the Jews
Well,
until
Yeah, we've already been told though that Jews control everything.
yeah.
It's really a thing.
One of the major things with the immigration laws coming into play was that they were trying to cut off Jews from immigrating from Europe. So we got Einstein, but we didn't get lots of other people who stayed and were put in concentration camps because of our immigration laws suddenly changing.
Yep. It was the same. Yeah, it was easy to believe in Jews as bad guys at one time for some reason. And I really, to this day, I really don't get it. But I don't get most of the time how most of these people, different groups get viewed as bad guys as a whole.
But the same pattern keeps repeating. They're just musical bad guys.
Well, yeah, we can replace that with Muslims now.
Yeah.
Muslims are the bad guys. That's just automatic, all right?
And that's what
People
Graham was talking
Fall
about.
for it every freaking time, every single time that you go along with it.
We have always been at war with OCM. It's from George Orwell, 1980.
Yeah.
And it is a perpetual state of we have to have an enemy. Oddly enough, excuse me. Oddly enough, U.S. was an isolationist until
1909-ish.
No, we didn't even want to get involved in World War I.
Right. But I mean, the White Fleet that went around the world, and
We even all the way up. There was a reason why the statement was, "We have awoken the sleeping giant," because we were still World War II rolls around, and we're still isolationists. We still didn't want to get involved. We didn't want to get involved in either front. We only got involved in things that we felt we absolutely positively had to. It was okay. And during that time period, it was harder to keep society motivated against a bad guy. Now that we have, for lack of a better term, a little more warlike culture, we can almost do bad guy of the week. And let's be honest. We could say next week that it's the Albanians that are actually our enemy. And the week after, we could say it's actually Quebecers that are our enemy. And we would buy it because, lock, stock, and barrel, because we're fed it so heavily. And there's plenty of supporting evidence. Because let's face it, French Canadians, they're obviously the enemy. Nobody likes it anyways. And
they still make us say Arkansas.
I'm pretty certain that they funded Al-Qaeda. So, and because everything I just did there, it's not that different than what some of the pundits and things like that do.
Yeah.
I had a reason for that rant.
How can we make it up?
I had a reason for that rant.
Let's see. Anti-Semitism.
Sure. That's probably where it was coming from. We're going to say that's where it started from. Which means we need to go back a little further. Why was I on anti-Semitism?
Because we were talking about exceptions to love thy neighbor,
Okay. There we go.
except that, there shouldn't be any.
Well, we're not supposed to, we're not supposed to give any peace to which groups?
Oh yeah, we're not supposed to. Blessed are the peacemakers, so, for they shall be known as the sons of God.
No, seriously, the commandment says we're not supposed to give these guys any peace. Give them no quarter, no home.
How
The
did that
Amalekites,
happen?
the Amalekites,
No,
wasn't that Israel that wasn't supposed to?
yeah, that's we're still on that. Right?
We're
We're
the
not
church.
Israel, we're Gentiles.
We took their.
There are some people that debate
How?
that Gentiles are grafted into Israel. Don't forget, I'm a part of my religious background, Messianic Judaism, which is the idea that very much the idea that both one, that Jews should accept Jesus as their Savior, and second of all, that we as the Gentiles are grafted into Israel as a whole.
Yeah, that's kind of like your favorite verse about these are the way the pagans do it. Is not how it should be done, like how you do it. In Mark, I think it is 14, Mark 10 or Mark 14, about these are how the Gentiles do their government. It shall not be the same way with you.
Oh, don't lord it over.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Jesus talking to his disciples about not being a douchebag.
and it's like, was that prophecy that when the Gentiles got a hold of it, they were going to lord it over the subjects of the peace?
Oh, yeah, that was specifically telling them not to be douchebags. And you know what?
But we are being
Yeah, basically that this is not how you do it. That Jesus came to be a servant of all, not actually lord it over people.
Yeah, and that's like, was Jesus talking like when the Gentiles was going to get it, we was going to mess it up?
Well, I don't think Jesus was unknowing that this would happen. I think that he specifically told us not to do this on purpose.
Well,
Because basically that the Gentiles lorded over each other and they say that, they're benefactors and everything while, basically.
But we sure messed it up here in America.
Well, yeah. We're quite, we're quite the douchebags.
Well, admitting you have a problem is the first step.
Yeah. Agree. I'm now imagining I'm a Christian douchebag.
I have that much grease built up on for some reason.
But you're using an eraser.
Yeah, I was trying to see maybe this will. Doesn't work. There's just that much on it. I don't know how it got so dirty.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually get used a whole lot, probably about twice a week.
But you have to touch it with your fingers, right?
But what's really weird
There's skin oil and stuff.
But when we're done, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Because it's patterned.
Pattern.
Yeah. There's defined lines. It's very weird. Anyways, all right, back on this. All right, so now let me throw this out.
For the servant to all. Kind of works with this. Keep going.
That's not where I was going.
Oh, okay.
What's the time? Okay, we're gonna have to start wrapping up soon because I'm gonna run out of energy. So let me ask another question. So you're saying all this applies for the most reasonable part. There might be some rules that don't necessarily apply. Okay, hang on. So take my head, take the ears off for just a second. One of the things, by the way,
You're not Spot, you're
orange. Anyway, so one of the debates, and I'm going to roll back to this about the laws of the land, Israel, versus what we observe. Whenever somebody says, well, those are the things that happen in Israel that don't apply to us, a question always comes to mind. Was homosexuality, was adultery, were these things only laws for Israel, or were they laws for everybody? See, and it's an interesting question.
Jesus brings adultery back up.
So what?
Jesus brings adultery back up.
So
because that one man, one woman passage that they always pull out of their ass for homosexuality has nothing to do with it. It is about divorce. Specifically, they asked Jesus a question about being able to divorce your wife for any freaking reason. And Jesus' answer was, no. No. No, if you divorce your wife, you're making her an adulteress. And unless it has to do with infidelity.
Gotcha. So the question becomes, okay, so if adultery, that one still applies. There's homosexuality.
Well, the
it's
thing
not it's not directly brought out.
But even the homosexuality thing, we don't know for sure that that's what that means, because it could have been the shrine prostitution. They got that particular word. They have very few things to go on, and they've guessed and they filled it in with different things over time. So if you think that the words of the Bible are inerrant, you have to look at that because it has had different meanings in different times.
And the NIV is really bad about that with the newest update. It spells it out. It doesn't leave any question that this is about homosexuality, same-sex marriages, blah, blah, blah. But the older ones, you see it, and it's like, well, that could be that could be the...
Are you saying someone trying to use it as a political statement? Nobody ever does that.
Uh-huh.
Why would somebody change the meaning of the Bible?
Why would they include a woodcut of Martin Luther, right? I say it was.
But it's like they took tolerance out of the Bible because so many people were saying you have to be tolerant of other people, like God is tolerant of you.
Yeah.
What's that? What's that? You're saying that humans were involved somehow?
Are you
think the translations could be off?
too?
No, he's just going to take his hat off and show his.
I'm being sarcastic. Are you saying
Anyways.
the Bible might be valuable in some way?
It's always interesting because those are laws that are brought up all the time. They're always going to choose. Bring up adultery.
Well, the funny thing is that nobody tries to punish adultery in the same way that they punish, say, homosexuality. So I don't ever hear about somebody going in to have their wedding cake for their third or second marriage or fourth or fifth or whatever, and somebody saying, no, you've been married too many times, adulteress. We don't serve your kind here. It's against my religion. I'd be participating in your sin.
Do you ever read the Bible?
Well, oddly enough, I'll share this with you because we've all heard of annulments. The marriage never happened.
Because they have voodoo and they can make it stop.
Never heard.
Time travel. They go back and stop it. When it happens.
For $3,000, we can forget. So leave that there.
Because, nobody,
You want to do that?
God or any angels were a witness or anything. It's not
But I'm going to add to that.
Okay.
When I was getting to get remarried, something was said, and I pointed out, I've been married before. And the person in question looks at me and says, no, you weren't actually married.
Premarital sex all the time?
What?
in which case it was all.
And this was the minister that said this to me. And I'm like,
I was there.
It's a conception. Wait to go.
I remember all that. Pretty certain I was.
La 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 la.
I wasn't making fun of that. I'm deeply making fun of it. But it brings up an interesting point that even with the rules, even with the laws, we will find very interesting and sometimes just off the cuff ways of saying, well, that isn't
It
fighting,
didn't
dude.
really apply.
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't really a marriage. You were just having adultery the whole time, premarital sex, and that's all right. You're forgiven now,
Because Jesus.
and well, I mean, the forgiveness part is automatic. But we do this. We find these rules. If we find one that's hard set, we find a way around it. Once we find a way around it, man, how important is it really? I mean, and that's really kind of the thing with adultery. Divorce, adultery, well, divorce is not important because you can get it annulled, or you can be forgiven, or you can any number of things.
Because our culture's okay with it. That's totally fine.
Right. But homosexuality is not okay because
We said so.
Because we said so. And because it's an ongoing thing.
We don't want to find a way around that.
And here's the thing I had with that debate, by the way, was, okay, well, homosexuality, it's all right to be a homosexual, but, can't act on it, because that would be the sin. And one of the things that went through my head about that was following. Well, if I get remarried, and you're telling me it's all right, we'll be forgiven, but I'm still married a second time. Am I still not an adulterer every morning when I wake up? Still married to a different person? It's an ongoing sin in that case. I should be just as unforgiven as any homosexual at that point. But again, there's a little loophole we like to make. And eventually, and I'm not saying this to be mean, eventually we'll find a loophole that everybody accepts about homosexuality. We can still say, well, it's homosexuals and it's bad, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's all right because of this. Now, that doesn't take into account, as Liz was pointing out, translation. Does that mean homosexuality like we think of it modern day? Does that mean the temple prostitutes? Does that mean there's a number of other things going on in so what?
Like gang rape, city gang rape.
Oh, there's a
Gang
number.
rape angels.
And then offers up his kids and then has sex with them later on.
Oh, they did rape him. They did.
Well, no, yeah, he does.
What happened?
They made him drunk and
Had
had their way with old dad.
What did I tell? Yeah.
I'm not sure how they jumped to the conclusion of, hey, look, the world's ended, we got to repopulate.
There weren't a lot of people at that time.
I understand it's still a pretty big jump. I mean, really. One town goes up in smoke. You should have seen what they would have done if the house would have burned down. Anyways.
They were probably raised in that town, so.
Apparently that town was a little
I don't
different.
know for sure whether Lot had a wife when he separated from Abraham or at the time that he was being rescued from the other armies. He could have taken a wife there, settled down, and all of that. But then again, they act like he's a foreigner. But then again, how long did that stigma last in a culture way back when?
I don't know. I mean, how long are you a foreigner in those places?
I mean, in America, you're a foreigner forever. Like, oh, you weren't born in the
Oh,
US.
no. You can be born in the U.S. and you're still seen as a foreigner.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is there's a video somebody made They were being very facetious about some gal who is of some sort of Asian descent.
Yeah.
Oh, so where are you from? San
California.
Francisco.
I mean,
Where are you from?
California.
Well, okay, where's your parents from? The implication being that this gal, who was not Caucasian, obviously must be some sort of foreigner,
Like
despite
George
being born.
Takei.
So what?
George Takei
Yes.
has that problem too.
Born here, and heck, he's stuck in an, him and his family's stuck in an internment camp.
Mhm.
And yeah, he's still a foreigner. Because apparently the only people that are natives are not native. So, yeah. Anyways. So, okay, go back to our actual conversation. Seriously. So we selectively pick, we still, there's no way to get around it. We religiously, on a denominational basis, do pick and choose.
There are contradictory verses.
I agree with you. In fact, there's a beautiful map done of all the contradictions. Now, the thing I have with the contradictions, and I can post it later. The thing I have with the contradictions is, for instance, it throws Psalms in there.
Those are songs.
Those are songs. That is correct. That would be like trying to use hip hop as a contrast to the Constitution.
Yes.
Doesn't work. Psalms are hymns of praise. But so there's some sections in there that are used to show contradictions that aren't necessarily met, and there are some of the contradictions that are tenuous at best. But there's some of them that are fought out. I mean, they really are. And it's easy to use these two rules right here to create your own contradictions, your own list of contradictions. Because if love thy neighbor as thyself is equally important to this, and you start applying it to Old Testament law when it comes to the conquering of Israel and the defense of Israel,
That's what I'm.
it's always a hard one to reconcile. And I don't
For
have an
me,
answer.
I
don't have an answer on how it's supposed to be reconciled, but it does look contradictory. Because if your neighbor is indeed everybody around you, no, you're not supposed to go hunt down Ammonites anymore. You know, they can stay at your house at this point. It's all right. Don't trust them with the silverware, but everything else is all right. And we do pick and choose. I mean, the question becomes.
And how I try to reconcile it a little bit is that the Bible is trying to have two competing ideas. The traditions of men and God's word.
Well, if you want to get into traditions of men, there is tons of it.
And it's like you have to use the Spirit to find out where the balance is.
Oddly enough, and I agree with you on that. See, Liz had beaten me to one of my points.
Oh no.
Right.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, so she got it up there first. Awesome. Test everything. Keep what is good. Sure, the words of Paul. But Paul, as much as I have problems with some of Paul's stuff, he also had good wisdom.
Oh my God.
There's some things that are very important.
Love is actually defined by Paul in there, which is good because we don't have different words for love. We don't have like 4 different versions of love.
If you used agape to somebody, they're going to look at you and go,
What the hell did you just say? I am not.
Erotic? What? Yes, no, other languages have wonderful words for love. We go.
And ours is a dump word.
Yeah.
Everything. We love our shirts.
I love my puppy dogs. Well, you know what I don't do with my puppy dogs? No. No. There should be a separate word for that. I love my neighbor. Have you met my neighbor? That's not happening. These things, yes, you're right, because we're such a crude language, so poorly defined on emotional terminology. It tends to be emotional terminology because, oddly enough, if you want to describe The pieces in television, man, we got that down. We got words for everything. But no. So, anyways, test everything. Keep what is good. I like that because it does. If you apply this and you use test everything, it's easier to look at it and go, okay, is that really good that I'm going to pick up a rock and throw it out of the sunshine?
Or
Probably not.
Or is it to shut up Liz? Because Paul talked about it. It's in the Bible.
She's not supposed to speak.
Yeah.
I will not suffer a woman to speak.
We're not in church.
Well played. Well played.
Oh, there, I'm being legalistic and being a little more.
So, where two or
But
more
how are
gathered his
women
name.
are supposed to prophecy if they can't talk? Mind it? I'm trying to figure out how women are supposed to prophesy if they can't speak.
Well, let's.
Did you know about the internet?
Really do that. Anyways, I never said they couldn't write.
Or type.
Some people believe they shouldn't write or read.
And only produce babies.
The other thing about it is a matter of judgment. Going back to the golden rule, whether it's going to happen to you.
And some people believe that's not in the Bible.
It bloody well is.
I know. It's
It's
like,
the royal poll.
right, but they see Matthew and don't check Luke. But it's in Luke, not Matthew.
Well, because all four of them, not precisely.
Yeah.
They're not, you know, if you ask what Jesus' final words are, there's three different sets. So.
Well, it depends on who was there.
I
What
go
the
for-
final words were.
I go for best two of four. So, it's horrible, but actually, I'll be honest. The way I reconcile those is I've gone through it, and went, all right, that's the same. Yeah, the matches. Okay.
Yeah, it's like,
you know, there's
when Jesus says the poor will always be with you, it's in three of the four, and no, they're all in four, but they have in someone's house, in Simon's house, and someone else's house, and oh wow, this is Mary and Martha. So it's kind of like,
yeah. Well, and you got to remember, one of them was written 90 years.
yeah. So it's like,
It wasn't somebody who was there. It was somebody who had heard from somebody who was retelling the
and
tale.
how is
So
it? And who brought up the idea? One, it has the crowd. One has something else. One has something else, and one has Judas bring it up. And it's like, whoa, where did that one go from?
yeah. So
So,
there are things there. But it was the judgment thing. The judgment thing, going back to that for a moment. When you apply the whole idea of love thy neighbor, and the idea that we're not supposed to judge, you end up with an interesting problem when you start judging. It's hard to love when you're judging people. Very, very hard to look at those people and go, they're all doing it wrong. They are all sinning. They are all horrible people. They are all these things. It is so easy for us to slip right on over to hate. Now, I have a problem with this because I will admit there are times it would be impossible for me to say I love Donald Trump, that I have love as a believer in Donald Trump because of the hateful things he continues to say.
oh yeah,
But if he came out tomorrow and was like,
Yeah,
oh my
but
gosh,
Cain,
I've
when
done
he's
so much
like-
wrong, I want to change, I'm going to stop calling people rapists and whatnot, and I think I'm going to turn over a new leaf and help the poor and blah, 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 and he actually did it, you'd love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You
It'd be
think, oh
easier.
my gosh, this is awesome.
But the point about judgment is we're supposed to not do that so that we don't fall into the trap of hate.
Well, the thing
And
is
it's so hard.
that Jesus, he said, judge not lest you be judged. So if you judge people, you're
You're
gonna
get
get
it back.
judged.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's just a law of nature.
And so the point of gosh dang it, I wish my brain was not so fuzzy.
Sorry.
I have caterpillars in my head apparently.
You
Uh,
did
I
it.
know
It's
how,
all
I
your
know
fault.
how that feels. I'm just like, sorry, man.
Matt, I'll get a nap here soon.
Never geek. Yeah.
Yeah, judgment is one of those things that we're supposed to avoid because yes, we're gonna get it back. But even without regard to whether or not we're gonna get it back, it's bad for us. It is against these two set of rules.
It creates anger, which is of the sinful nature for the flesh.
There's some questions, and we can talk about this some other day about anger and the translation of anger, right? Because there is some interesting things about it. There's more than one type. There's more than one type of love. There's more than one type of anger.
Yeah.
And Jesus portrayed anger. Jesus did not mildly walk out with a bullwhip. Get out of here. No. That man walked out there and probably made some people have some brown pants. And he also portrayed small flashes of disapproval and small flashes of anger, but not hatred. And that's the important thing. We translate one as one way and one the other way. But in the language originally, it get a little bit more richer. Because it's Greek. Greek likes to have words for various types of emotion.
But yeah, it's more of the anger that where you hate the person instead of the where he hated the action.
Yeah.
Hate the action, not the person.
So, anyways.
And that's where that comes up.
The thing is, by spending our time judging, and I stand up here and I pick on so many different dogmatic views of Christianity and things like that. But most people that know me well also know I'm just picking on it. I'm pointing out in my own, and I'm mentioning all this for a reason. I'm pointing this out in my own ridiculous ways and poking fun at it and all these things, not out of hatred. I don't hate these people. I don't agree with them. I don't have to agree with them. I don't agree with their point of view on homosexuality. I don't agree with their point of view on, for instance, helping the poor. It doesn't mean I hate them. And this comes up because of somebody saying that, you know, I spent all for somebody who supposed to teach love, peace, and respect. I don't. No, actually, I still do. I still do. I try not to be that sort of active angry. I try not to be that sort of active hateful. And I hope if anybody ever catches me being anything beyond my sarcastic self to actually showing hatred, call me on. I'm serious. Because that means I would have to step down from this. I really would. I couldn't do this with a good conscience and be hateful of people. So. Anyways, that's it. We're out of here because there's bears coming.
Bears in there.